Buenos días, buenas tardes, y buenas noches. Bonjour, bonsoir. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night, wherever you may be. Jay Slater case, and it is Saturday. Happy weekend to everyone. That is a follower of the Jay Slater case in the Foul Play group, supporters of this channel. 25th of July. Now then, going to look at our calendar. This, by the way, this video is not part of the very lengthy series on Saturday, Sunday, Monday, going through the days when Jay Slater's body was discovered. I'm putting that aside just for today, or just for this moment, because news came yesterday that needs to be examined, and I'm calling it calendar time. It is indeed calendar time because on my calendar for Monday, the 27th of July, this coming Monday, Cherry Page Crisp, or Page Cherry Crisp, Crisp, I think is the last name, lady from Malvern in Worcestershire, who has been convicted in the past. She's in court. She is in court on Monday. Apparently, the trial starts because she pleaded not guilty to I believe it was a cannabis smuggling operation that was detected through the National Crime Agency at Birmingham Airport quite some time ago. Now, Cherry Page Crisp, or Page Cherry Crisp, is of no great interest at all in the Jay Slater case. The connection, of course, is that Cherry, or Page, is apparently Ayub Kasim's wife. Apparently. Um, I happen to believe that they may well have been married in some form of ceremony in Thailand. I'm not sure if it is a binding marriage registered in the UK. I'm not sure. Bit of a grey area there. But for the sake of argument, let's take that relationship as a married couple. So all focus on Birmingham on Monday, as if we can find out the information, it would be good to know if Ayub is going to be there in court in loyal and loving support of his cherished wife, or cherished wife. Is he going to be there? Or do you think it's the case that it is far too risky for one Ayub Abdul Kasim to appear in the UK because he seems to be very much based in Thailand these days? He's a confident man. I mean, bizarrely confident for someone who pleaded not guilty to his own narco charges and then got banged up for 9 years. But his confidence remains. Probably did a lot of reading in jail. His confidence remains. So I wouldn't put it past him to show up. On the other hand, if I'm right in my speculation, and this is pure speculation, that Ayub Kasim is also part of this Thailand to the UK via Paris Charles de Gaulle Airport operation, if he's also part of it, I would imagine it wouldn't be a good idea for him to show up unless, who knows, he's either volunteered to be a witness or has been pressed into being a witness. So much to come in the Cherry Page Crisp, Page Cherry Crisp, Chris Perry Jane, whatever her name is, so much of interest to come out of this trial, possibly, that we will get an insight into Ayub Kasim and what his life is all about. Is it possible that something connected to the Jay Slater case might also pop up? It is possible. It is possible. It may be that the prosecution have done their due diligence and have managed to link either Page or Ayub or both to something that was happening in Tenerife. I don't know. However, I would issue a word of caution here and say that it is quite likely that this trial will not involve Ayub and will not involve anything connected with the Jay Slater case, and we might get nothing from it. I think we will get some information about the modus operandi of Ayub and his wife, how they operate, and it might reinforce the notion that the whole thing that was happening in Tenerife is almost certainly crime based, especially if we see some kind of repetition or repetitive behavior in the Page Cherry Crisp case with what happened in Tenerife. It might come out in the evidence that, something similar to the Jay Slater case was happening, has happened in Thailand. I don't know, I'm just speculating, but I'm saying we should pay attention to it. And you never know, we need a stroke of luck in this case to make a breakthrough. You never know, some bombshell, and you can never tell where a court trial is going. I know you have these very high paid prosecutors, lawyers, defense lawyers, solicitors all on hand, but no one, even the judge does not know in which direction exactly a trial will go. It depends enormously on the testimony given and the form of testimony given. And if there is some kind of obstruction of justice or perjury going on, then it can go off in any direction. And this is why we hold out hope that perhaps this trial might reveal something in the Jay Slater case. But I wouldn't hold out too much hope for that. Now, the other news that came to light, and again, word of caution here, because a little bit of Chinese whispers going on to a certain extent, was that yesterday Matt Pernie, who keeps his eyes and ear to the ground, he alerted me to the fact that Scoobs, good old Scoobs, and Max, who do a lot of work on TikTok, and early doors work. Like there's often something that comes out from them that no one else has managed to bring to light. And I think this is the case here. So Matt Pernie alerted me that Scoobs had, brought to light this announcement from Wood Green Crown Court about a certain Steven Rocas. Now, obviously, caution here. Caution number one, let us assume that this site, and I do have a slight concern about it, it does seem that the only site is some kind of court information site. It doesn't seem to be appearing anywhere else. But let us assume, for the sake of argument, this site is genuine, that Scoobs found it and it's legitimate, and that this case is real. It does say back in May of this year, well, you can read it. Steven Rocas, there's the name very clearly. Steven Rocas was in Wood Green Crown Court. And the charges were, I'm not sure if it mentions this here, but yes, SA. I think we know what that is. I won't say it on this video in case a YouTube robot picks that up and says I've been bad in saying those words. But yeah, it does look like it is of that nature. And it does mention incidents. It does mention incidents. If I get that post, I will repost that so you can see it. So if this is all right, it's not just one incident of SA, it is incidents. Now, Accident Group, a certain Jugglers, was very, very quick on the ball with this to comment on how shocking it could possibly be if this turns out to be a proven case, that someone in the Jay Slater case was of the nature to be involved with incidents connected with SA. And, it does mention that the individual, the victim involved, the alleged victim involved, it does mention, is of an age and for legal reasons cannot be mentioned. Or at least it says the victim cannot be mentioned. I shouldn't say that as a fact, but the innuendo is there. Leaving that aside, as I say, there is one person in the Accident Group that has commented on this, not on their disgust that this could possibly be the case with one of Jay's friends, one of Jay's associates, one of Jay's mates that he spent some time with. No, there's no disgust there, and I don't think we're going to hear anything from Debbie or Warren or Zach about how shocked they are that one of Jay's Tenerife mates, work associates, free time associates, drinking buddies, is this guy. Steven Rocas. There won't be any shock there. But Jugglers has come out and said, wait a minute. Yeah, has Scoobs, has Pernie, has Smith got all this wrong? Because look at this. Rocas is the last name and not Roccas. Have they got the right Steven Rocas? Well, just to recap on this very, very quickly. Rocas is the correct last name spelling of Steven Fortes Rocas, the person who was in Tenerife with Ayub and said that he spent time with Jay. That is the correct spelling. The reason people like Mark Williams-Thomas, Dr. Adderley, the press in general have got this wrong for the inquest and spelt it Roccas is because they haven't done their due diligence. Adderley didn't do it. Mark Williams-Thomas didn't do it. No one did it apart from a few armchair sleuths. So this is where Jugglers, we've always been one step ahead of mainstream media and the so-called authorities. I speculated that the reason the inquest, Mark Williams Thomas, the media, and others always got this last name wrong was because, and this is my speculation, that they merely drew Stephen's last name not from the existing files that point to him being Steven Rocas, but they got it from the Guardia Civil's records, and the Guardia Civil are notorious for making spelling errors when it comes to names. I mean, I'm sure you all remember in Lucy's Icod de los Vinos police station report, they actually had Jay Slater written down in that report as Jane, Jane Slater. It's like, okay, it's an English name, Jay and Jane, to the Spanish-speaking ear, kind of the same. What's the big deal? So this doesn't surprise me at all that Rocas in reality in Guardia Civil documents is Roccas. And it doesn't surprise me at all that Dr. Adderley's crew in Preston just took that name from Spanish documents and said it must be right. It doesn't surprise me at all that Mark Williams Thomas has repeated this name and not checked on the spelling. It doesn't surprise me at all. It doesn't surprise me at all that the likes of Scoobs and Max and myself look into this carefully. One letter can make a big difference. And so when you do look into the spelling of this last name, first of all, when you go on to 192 information directory for the UK, there is only one Steven Rocas. And lo and behold, you know, it is the guy that on Company's House says he's part of a company called Boxing Elite. It is a guy whose address is registered in, well, it's North London. I'm pretty sure it is in, what specific area? Newham, I think. Not 100% sure. All I'm saying is that the one Steven Rocas, Rocas, that lives in the UK ties in, all his information online ties in with the person that was in Tenerife, part of the Ayub and the Jay Slater background. I mean, apart from that, we know that Steven Rocas, spelt this way, was incarcerated for a lengthy prison sentence for all that he was doing in the High Wycombe area. That's in the national press from years ago, and that is spelled Rocas. So, jugglers, to answer your question, am I 100% sure that this Steven Rocas is the Steven Rocas connected with the Jay Slater case? As sure as I possibly can be, because, jugglers, a few of us armchair sleuths in the Foul Play group have been on this name. After all, jugglers, we were the ones that pinpointed the photo of this person is this name. It's we who did that. Not mainstream media, not Mark Williams Thomas, not Dr. Adderley, not you. No one in the accident group ever did that. Yeah, time to blow our trumpets again. The armchair sleuths, so despised for, what is it? Ruining people's lives, Chris Pennington likes to say. Well, in this case, hardly ruining people's lives, underlining who are the people, Steven Rocas, that can and may well have had ruined people's lives. That is the reality, jugglers. Now, I'm just curious to see who is talking about this on the accident group side. Yeah, I'm talking about it now. I will be talking about it. And I don't know, by the way, what happened in May. There's a dearth of information, so I know Scoobs will be looking into it, and I would invite everyone to start looking into it. Did Steven Rocas show up for this hearing in May? Was he remanded on bail? Is there going to be a trial later on? What's going on with this? I don't know. And that is why it's a note of caution attached to this, because there's no more information, can't really say a whole lot. And of course, presumed innocent, yeah, until proven guilty, sure, but that doesn't stop us speculating. I would say that given the number of times this guy's been arrested in his very young life so far, this is no surprise to me. Presumably, it's a massive surprise. It's a jaw-dropping moment for the accident group that have said, oh, yeah, no crime involved going on in Tenerife. Steven Rocas, what did Chris Pennington say? Served his sentence. Even went as far... Chris Pennington, dumbass that he is, even went on to say, well, they're not involved. They haven't been involved in any crime since they served their sentence. Well, how would he know that? If he means they've not been found guilty of any crime since then, okay. But justice takes time. Chris Pennington, maybe this whole court case accusation about SA connected with Steven Rocas, maybe that happened, who knows, a week after he was released, a week before he got to Tenerife, a week after. That claim, Chris Pennington, has aged like milk, hasn't it? Oh, yeah, these guys aren't involved in crime since they've done their time. They've paid their punishment, haven't they? This, Chris Pennington, hints otherwise. Ivor Lovelace hints otherwise. This great buddy of yours, you did a live with him. Oh, you were very embracing of the guy. Yeah, how you doing, buddy? How you doing, mate, Steve? Yeah, how you doing, Rocky? Oh, yeah, all very embracing of this guy. Why the silence now? Why no comment on this now? Not a word. Not a word from Chris Pennington. Let's just have a look at the record, shall we? Ever since this announcement has gone out there, we've heard Lord Lugworm, we've seen him write 117 lines in his last post. Count them, 117 lines of garbled, luggy, gobbledygook text dealing with what we think Steven Rocas might be involved with here, dealing with that. No, no, no. Luggy's last post, all 117 lines, was dedicated to Matt Pernie. Matt Pernie, believe it or not. Someone who likes to comment on the Jay Slater case. Matt Pernie wasn't involved in what happened in Tenerife. He's got nothing to say about the ins and outs of, the narco scene on Tenerife. Matt Pernie's not involved. I'm not involved. We're both just commenters on what we see in this case. Steven Rocas is very much involved. Yeah, he was summoned to the inquest 2 times and refused to go to the inquest 2 times. No one's ever commented upon that in the Accusations group, speculated on why that could be. So 117 lines Lord Lugworm writes on Matt Pernie. And Lord Lugworm writes a total of 0 lines on this accusation, this very, very serious SA accusation against Steven Rocas. Luggy's great buddy. No words at all. But possibly 117 lines will be written where Ivor goes to bat for his great buddy here. Perhaps because Ivor knows the truth. This is a great buddy. Ivor knows everything that's happening in Ayub and Steven Rocas' world. They are his friends. They communicate. Ivor knows the truth. Perhaps he'll come out and tell us the truth today. I wouldn't hold your breath. Who else has commented on this? Well, in the Accident group, Chris Pennington. Chris Pennington likes to comment aplenty on how Tiptoe is doing, on how Bitcoin is doing. Sell now, buy now, sell later, buy later, hold, sit tight to your savings. Chris Pennington has written 0 lines on the Steven Rocas accusation here. Chris Pennington having said, oh, you're destroying people's lives when you start talking about their potential criminality. Reminder, Chris Pennington, those that don't, I repeat, those that don't talk about such potential criminality are the ones, Chris Pennington, that are destroying people's lives. If only you'd come out, Chris Pennington, and told the truth about the nature of this guy, because you knew him and you knew all about him, perhaps you, Chris Pennington, had you been forefront in denouncing this kind of behaviour, might have actually saved a life or saved a victim from some horrific SI crime. If only, Chris Pennington, you'd done the right thing, you could have not destroyed the life or the well-being of someone. But you didn't do that. You went to bat for some real bad eggs. And now, I believe, my speculation, we're starting to see the result, Chris Pennington, of your cowardice, of your father's cowardice, of Luggy's cowardice, of Kaz Alice's cowardice. The whole Accident group know the truth. They know this kind of stuff is in the background. They know it. And yet they are silent about it. They are, I would say, complicit. And this is why some of us long for the day when these characters are in the dock and they can't say things like, that's a stupid question, we're not answering it, Judge. Yeah? They can't say things like, well, nothing to do with me, I'm not answering that, Judge. They know what's going on. They know if this is true, and the silence is deafening. Thomas Wilson, on his last post, he has 141 comments there. Thomas Wilson, on his last post, 141 comments there. Do you think those comments are all about what Steven Rocas might have been up to, has been up to, could have been up to, leading up to the Jay Slater case, during the Jay Slater case, and post-Jay Slater case? Do you think those 141 comments are on that? No. No, they're not. Those 141 comments, it seems to me, are all based around a certain content creator who might, at a certain point in time, have used, in a dubious context, the 2 words, hot babes. Yeah, the 141 comments are all directed about this hot babes comment, which is seen as absolutely cataclysmic. Absolutely condemning, beyond the pale. Strange, isn't it, in the accident group? Strange, isn't it, Thomas Wilson? We haven't got a post from you on Steven Rocas's background. Oh, I see, Thomas. There's no evidence that Steven Rocas ever used the most horrendously culpable and criminal words, hot babes. Therefore, there's not much to comment on here, is there, Thomas? I get it. Cazalis, silent. Janie, Jihadi Janie, silent. Janie's new site, her new YouTube channel, Rosie My Wee Buddy. If you see anyone under Rosie My Wee Buddy, it's gobshite. Zero comments on this. Oh, Laurie, our London lovey, that guardian of everything that is good, that is inclusive, that is so special. Oh, yes, Laurie, the London lovey. You know, the one that loves to sport that t-shirt. I love my vagina. Well, what does Laurie have to say about all this? Laurie's another one, very, very concerned that a picture of someone that might be a minor with a caption, Hot Bay, very concerned about that. Haven't heard so much of a concern from our London lovey about what's going on with Steven Rocas. Why would that be? Why no speculation? Why no comment? Why no defense of these guys from the accident group? Let's keep an eye on their silence. As always, I would invite any one of them, or even all of them, to join me in a live, unedited, where we talk about any subject they want. This, anything about me, anything about them, anything about Jay Slater, anything about any character in the Jay Slater saga. Absolutely anything. I will even give the floor, let them hold forth, tell the world why our side is completely wrong. I will say not a word. End of the recording, and then we can comment afterwards. But not one of them has the courage to put their voice to their views. Not one. Why is that? I have a new speculation. It's because they know of what's going on in the background here. I'm speculating. It's because the accident group know what's going on in the background here, and they are absolutely shite scared to put their voice out there in a format that could be kept forever, because they know. Oh, they know if I've recorded that, I've kept it forever. Whereas if they're typing on their keyboard, keyboard warriors that they are, anytime they like, they can remove, they can delete, they can edit whatever they've said. But they are shite scared of talking, because once the word is out and recorded, they can't go back. That is my theory. Accident group, prove me wrong and tell me where my thinking has gone astray. Let's leave it there. Hasta luego, adios, hasta la vista. More later.